Good afternoon, the resource personnel, the actuarial family, and the candidates that will be sitting for APCE this year and after. I'm the current ARCON president, Architect Dipo Ajayi. These programs are divided into three. We have the practice portfolio, which will be delivered by Architect Tiwa Fadeibi and Architect Ladi Lewis. The oral will be delivered by Architect Frank and Architect Karayi. The third one part will be curriculum, which will be delivered by Professor Shukwa Ali and Architect Monain. The portfolio deals with the projects you have managed so far and approved and supervised by your supervisors. The orals and how you feel, your comportments and your experience so far in architecture in Nigeria. The curriculum comprises the project planning, practice, and delivery, while the professional ethics are also included. These are the things that you'll be listening to from the resource personnel who have earlier been mentioned. Thank you very much.
APCE candidates, my name is Professor C.B. Chukwuale, a member of the ARCON board, the member of the Education Committee. I'm here to bring to you the curriculum you're supposed to go through for this examination. And I always like to say that a professional practice exam is not a test of intelligence, it's a test of competence. Those who fail exams, especially professional practice exams, approach this exam as a test of intelligence. It is the opposite. It is a test of competence. What you have done, how you did it, all you need to do is to recall how you did it. So this curriculum is broken down into four parts, if you like. First, paper one deals with pre-design, planning, and curriculum management, PPP, pre-design, planning, curriculum management. Paper two deals with project delivery and contract administration. And paper three is professionalism and ethics. And the last paper is the oral evaluation of the candidate. So, usually, this exam is supposed to cover everything you've done in the university from year one. That is why it becomes very cumbersome for people who are not up to date with their curriculum, what they did in the university. If you just break up and then get yourself involved in something else, and suddenly one day you want to take exam, you're going to find it very difficult. Because the curriculum, the way it's organized by ARCON, covers everything you've done in the university from year one. For example, paper one deals with pre-design, planning, and practice management. It starts with professionals in the building environment. This is the first lecture you get in Introduction to Architecture in year one. We deal with the building industry, the professionals, their duties, their rules, whatever they do, and the importance of the building industry for the economy. So it is difficult for you to remember this type of lecture if you are not in touch with your materials. And we'll talk about setting up architectural practice, different types of firms and partnerships, These are things you have gone through from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, MSc 1, and MSc 2. Most of them were covered by your lecturers. As you know, everything you study in the university has a way to play into your design. The design is simply a summary of all you have studied. So we continue to deal with office administration, how we market architectural services, and so on. Building typologies is what many schools study under different headings. So you need to recall all those building typologies: public buildings, buildings for the commercial buildings, industrial buildings, and so on. Those are building typologies you need to deal with. So it may depend on the type of project you choose as their start project. Most people choose residential buildings. But we've seen people who have chosen banks, different types of buildings, commercial buildings. Whichever you choose, please just follow the guideline, the way it is it's established. So we also expect, yes, you're also expected to deal with planning and pre-design, building bylaws, regulations applicable in Nigeria, building acts, and so on. So these are things you have gone through in the university. And while preparing for the exam, you're supposed to go back and dust up those your notes. Well, we're talking about new enactments, the National Building Code, approval procedures, approval processes. And then I will allow the registrar, when he comes up, to talk about ARCON project registration number, APRN, a very vital process you need to know about. Many people will always have problems dealing with this, especially during the orals. As I said, if you have not gone through it, you cannot manufacture it. It's not a test of intelligence, a test of competence. So in the design itself, you deal with the design phase, brief taking, feasibility studies, and so on. I'm not going to take them one by one. I just want to tell you the entire sequence of what you need to know, how to take a project from stage 1 to stage 3 until you sign the final certificate. When you get to the second paper 2 deals with project delivery and contract administration. This is the hallmark of stage 3, if you like. This has been covered in many ways, many schools, under different headings. Building contracts and arbitration, which is one of the things we dealt with. The architect and the law, and so on. All the things that deal with the architect in the construction site, what he does. But the most importantly, we are using here the standard form of the contract document, standard form. All the clauses, you need to go through them one by one. Simply recall those notes your lecturers gave you in the universities. All the contract points from clause 1 to clause 35. You need to go through them, understand how they work, because it's a duty to interpret that in the site. So all I have tried to do right now is to introduce to you the entire sequence of knowledge we require from you. And for you to do it well, you need to go back to match what you read in school with what you have gone through in practice. It is what we've gone through in practice that is important for us in this examination. And we do believe that you are in the best position to make it work. Do not try to manufacture information. Do not try to manufacture knowledge. Of course, it's extremely difficult to manufacture knowledge. Simply deal with what you have done The easiest way to pass this exam is to deal with what you have done, your experience, your practice, what you know. And I simply want to end my presentation by repeating what I started with. This is not a test of intelligence. It is a test of competence, professional competence. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Architect Umar Murnay. I'm the registrar of ARCON. What I'm going to say is going to dovetail on what the professor had just finished discussing. That is about the curriculum. He has already discussed paper 1 and 2. I'm going to give a little more insight on paper 2, paper 1 in particular, on APRN. APRN is one of the ARCON verification requirements. ARCON verification requirements used to be 3. That is, we used to have the stamps, the seal, and the practice license. But because they were compromised, we had to introduce ARCON project registration number. And that is a number that is given to any project, to the architect that produces that project. And is a kind of an interactive process that is to do away with cockery. So I'm not here to discuss on the details of APRN, but just for you to take note as part of the curriculum. And by the time you go through the seminars that is going to be organized by Nigerian Institute of Architects, Chartered Architects ANCA, and ARCON, that is Chartered Professional Architects, they will give you more insight about APRN. My topic is to discuss on paper 3, that is professional practice, professionalism and ethics of the profession of architecture. Under this, we have theory and trends in architecture. These are things where modern architecture is discussed, precedents in architecture, and traditional Nigerian architecture. This is part of this paper. So we also discuss on ARCON Act. ARCON Act is expected of each and every one of you, the participants, to know it in and out, because it is your tool that will defend you in future. When there's any problem or anything, you use the Act to defend yourself. You have to know the Act. There's also the Code of Conduct. It's under this paper. You have to read and know if there's any infringement by anybody, or if there is misconduct by you as a practicing architect, then you will be brought under this code of conduct and be tried. As it is now, we have a tribunal that if you are found wanting, you will be brought before the tribunal after going through the AIP, that is Architects Investigation Panel, that are going to establish a prima facie against you, which will be forwarded to the tribunal, and eventually you will be tried there. And under that, you will be either be reprimanded, be warned, fined, or even be delisted. So you need to go through the code of conduct to know exactly how to conduct yourself when it comes to the practice of the profession of architecture. You will have other things to, if you go through the curriculum, which we are going to make it available to you. you have some other things you will have to learn, like the ethics and architectural practice. These are things which you have to know how to conduct yourself, because it is all about integrity and competence, as my professor earlier said. You have to know the ethics, the do's and don'ts. You have to know the norms and sanctions of the profession for you to be able to establish yourself as a competent architect. There is also the health, safety, and environment. These are part of the things under this paper that you need to read and understand, because the whole thing is to try your competence, or rather, to know whether after your tutelage you have gained the practical aspect of the profession, because this professional exam program is to test you, to make sure that what you have learned in the university and what you have learned practically, you are being able to synergize them and understand, so that you will be a better professional in the field. So there is also the impact of architectural schemes that are under this paper, and public consultations in design, decision making, and project financing are all part of paper 3. And under this, you are going to have the books references. We are going to forward everything to you. You go and read and understand all these areas and assimilate them, so that you will be able to pass your papers. We have a list of books, a reading list, which is going to be forwarded to you, so that you can go and read and make sure you perform very well at your exam stage. I'm happy to say this is your last stage of becoming a professional. This is the path of becoming a professional architect, pathway of becoming a licensed architect. The other stages are: one, you go through the secondary school. At the end of the 5 or 6 years, you are expected to have a minimum of 5 credits. The 3 major ones are mathematics, physics, and English, in addition to 2 additional credits that qualifies you to be admitted in the university as a student of architecture. Thereafter, you go through the university. You do the BSc and MSc. In other places, you have the BTech or MTech, after which you graduate. You go and do your NYSC, that is the service. But make sure, this is just for information, which you have already passed that stage anyway, but for you to impact this knowledge to others that are coming to become students of architecture. Whoever is going to the university must make sure that that university that provides that program is an accredited program. Because if it is not an accredited program, you may not be allowed to participate in ARCON programs and exams for you to qualify as an architect. So after that, then you come to this stage, and this is the final stage. That is the stage of licensure, going through this program. We have now took you through the curriculum. That is a hybrid of your university knowledge and practical knowledge. And by the time we test you and we find you competent, then you become a registered architect. I think with this little information, thank you very much. All these details, we are going to forward it to you on the same platform, so that you can go through it and read and assimilate. and I wish you good luck. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tiwa Fadeyibi, a member of the Architects Education Committee, and I'm here to deliver a short discourse on the portfolio writing deliverables. So I'm here and I won't take too much of your time. For those who are here with the purpose of writing the APCE program, the first stage after being pre-qualified is to make a submission of your portfolio. Now, your portfolio is a compilation of projects which you actively partook in within the period of your pupillage period. So it means that projects that you weren't actively participating in do not qualify. Now, it is not a work of fiction, so do not tell lies. It is not a thesis, so please do not put in your aims and objectives. It's a technical report. And also, we do not need you to dedicate any aspect of the portfolio to those who had worked with you during your hard years of work. Now, it's also not an autobiography. So we get to know you when you come for your orals. And now the next step is your pupillage period. What is your pupillage period? Now, by law, your pupillage period is the duration of time with which you worked under a licensed architect from when you completed your terminal degree up until the time you come for licensure. So what this means is that your pupillage period is a period of time inclusive of your NYSC, when you graduated from your master's or its equivalent in architecture, up until the time when you come to ARCON with the intention of taking the program. Now, for you to be accepted for the program, you must have been under active participation with a supervisor. ARCON regulates that the supervisor must have a minimum of 5 years post-qualification experience for him to actively take you through that period. So what this means is that if you are working in a firm where your boss, being an architect, doesn't have up to the required 5 years, after which he took his exams, he is not qualified to be your supervisor. ARCON also expects that your supervisor be financial with the regulatory body. So it is your responsibility to make sure that your supervisor has a current practice license. That will mean that he has paid all his dues up until the point where he's supervising you. So we go to the next step, which is the portfolio conditions. The AEC will stipulate the conditions your portfolio must meet, and this changes from time to time. Architect Lewis will come up next and give you what we expect, what the current conditions are for the program that you want to take. Now, it must consist of 3 projects. That is mandatory. The first must have attained post-occupancy stage. And I'm sure you all know that post-occupancy stage means that the project must have been completed and is being occupied and habited with human beings. The reason why this is imperative is to make sure that you have gone through all the stages of work as an architect, so that you have ample experience from the concept design up until the final account, and even after the client has moved into the property. Now, this project must be habitable. So what this means is that you cannot bring a bridge, or you cannot bring a petrol station and expect that to be accepted as your star project. Secondly, your star project is meant to have a minimum of 1 suspended floor. A minimum of 1 suspended, a maximum of as high as it is. Remember that I said that it must not be a work of fiction. It must be something, it must be a building that exists. And in Nigeria, it is very easy for the regulatory body to confirm that your building exists and is not a figment of your imagination. Now, the lists and contacts of the project consultants must also be clearly stated. Now, we are aware in Nigeria that there are quite a lot of projects that are done using the design and build contract style. That is acceptable. We know that it is not very economical for clients nowadays to go through the complete JCT or standard conditions of engagement when they are working on a project. So please, if your project was done design and build, do not lie. Do not tell us that you had to engage geotechnical consultants for a place where there are no swamps. Do not try and impress by saying you needed 5 sets of engineers for a project that is just probably a 5-bedroom duplex. We will know. State as it is. What you went through during that period is what you're meant to record and submit to ARCON. Now, there must be evidence of all the activities and stages of work you participated in. This will consist of copies of your drawings, documentation of various stages of work. As an architect, we expect that as you progress through your drawings, as you project through your project, you keep a compendium of what you have been doing from inception to handing over. So you're going to be expected to submit some of these evidences to us. All this is just for us to ensure that you were an active participant in the project. So also, there's something that is imperative and very, and is mandatory for you. You're expected to share with us the GPS location of your project. Please, we want you to know that GPS locations can be verified. Thanks to Google Earth, it is possible for us to backdate the points that you have given us back to the year when you claimed the project started. So it is possible to go to that site in 2017 if you claim that that site started in 2017. And we'd expect to see that that building commenced around that period. For those who lie, who default, or who cook up their portfolios, ARCON will invite you to the architects, to ARCON's investigative panel, because they will view your acts as criminal. The project must also be backed up by photographs, preferably in all stages of work, but at least predominantly in the construction and the post-construction stage. We're still on the STAR project right now. And then at the end of your project, or at the end of your report, you're also expected to talk about lessons learned. Remember that this is a portfolio leading up to your licensure. The AEC will want to know what you have learned from the project and how you participated in it up until completion. Please note that when you're compiling your project, you're meant to write in first person. You're reporting of activities that you took part in. Kindly avoid verbose words. Please do not end any sentence with an exclamation mark. This is a technical report. And remember that the purpose of your submission is to confirm that you took part in it. So I'll quickly share the pitfalls that lead to many portfolios being disqualified. First of all, you cannot choose a mentor. You are expected to have your supervisor sign your portfolio. I've explained earlier who your supervisor is. Your supervisor could be your employer, he could be your head of department, or he could be a senior colleague who already has been qualified, provided they are licensed architects. And they must be licensed by the Architects Registration Council of Nigeria. We will not accept the licensure of foreign regulatory bodies. Okay? Now, you cannot decide to choose somebody whom you respect in the profession and have him affix his signature on your portfolio. Because they are fixing the signature on your portfolio is testifying that that individual supervised you during your pupillage period. So you don't choose somebody based on the amount of experience he has gotten. You are meant to pick somebody who you have worked actively with within a minimum of 2 years. Now, do not doctor information. Contrary to what we think, information is very easy to verify. If your building is located on a particular street, Nigeria is small enough for us to find out where that street is. The Architects Registration Council Education Committee comprises of members from practically all states in Nigeria. So with a phone call away, it's easy for us to pick up and know if the building that you put on Road X in State Y exists. Do not generate fresh drawings for your portfolio. ARCON is a regulatory body. It's an agency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Projects such as your STAR projects must have been approved by the town planning authority in your state. So we expect to have photocopies of approved drawings from the relevant town planning authority in the state where you are. So please do not generate fresh drawings. It means that you're going to be expecting you to submit photocopied drawings of approved documentation from your state. Do not falsify your GPS location. I've mentioned this earlier. Again, I say it for emphasis. It is very easy for us to go back to the timeline that you stated on your portfolio to verify whether that building went through the process of work that you claimed it to be. Do not borrow pictures. The people who mark your portfolios are architects. They can read pictures and they understand drawings. So it is easy for us to know if the photographs that you are submitting are in line with the drawings that you have submitted. Now, with respect to photographs, do not give us close-up of irrelevant aspects of your construction. We are architects. So if you're looking at if you're looking at a type of construction, we expect you to take maybe something like the progress photographs, taking us through the progression of the structure. We don't need blow-ups of the master bedroom, the master bathroom, or the kitchen. They're not necessarily relevant to us, unless if the body of your report had talked about certain events or activities that went on in those areas. Again, we say, avoid flowery language, be concise and go straight to the point. And please, please do not plagiarize. Plagiarism is criminal. ARCON will waste no time in handing you over to the law. It is easy. We have a compendium of projects that have been submitted in the past. We can verify if your projects are past projects of people who had earlier passed the exam. Remember that your supervisor must certify your portfolio. If you have more than one supervisor, or if you had worked in various places and are submitting portfolios from different places of work, it will mean that you are going to send us, or you're going to have each project submitted signed by the supervisor who was with you during the time of that construction. It is the supervisor's responsibility to sign your project. He's not doing you a favor. It is mandated by law for your supervisor to encourage you to become licensed. So if you're having any issues with supervisors not wanting to sign your portfolio, please kindly get in touch with ARCON. We wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Architect Ladipo Louis. I'm a member of the ARCON Education Committee. I'll be presenting to you today the Architect's Professional Competency Evaluation Project Portfolio Requirements. An overview of the portfolio requirements states that the candidate is required to have 3 projects, and those 3 projects are required to be presented in a particular format, which is stated in the project portfolio requirement report. The supervisor's role should be stated clearly, and for each of the projects, a supervisor should be stated with the CV attached and the role of the supervisor's involvement in the project. The 3 projects should be dated accordingly and should be stated to what extent the candidate was participated in the project. Project must be clearly defined. The project requirements for all three projects should have reached construction documentation stage as at the date of the program starting off. Each project and the extent of work and the proof of same should be reported and illustrated in preliminary design, developed design, working construction drawings and documentation, tender process, contract administration, architect's instructions, RFIs, certification, closeout, and snag list. Evidence must be provided to show candidates' involvement in the project for all three projects. Evidence will include photocopies of drawings, copies of letters, copies of meeting minutes, and photographs. Candidates must not and may not alter or create drawings for the purpose of the project portfolio. All drawings and documents submitted as evidence must be photocopies of original documents. Photocopies of the building permit / approved drawings stamped by the planning approval authorities must be submitted for Project A, the STAR project. Photocopies of drawings must be A3 size and folded into the portfolio document as appropriate. The GPS location of Project A, the STAR project, must be established, and a map showing this location must be included with this submission. The following should be noted by the candidates in preparation of their reports. You should state the briefing process, the concept design, the appointment of consultants, the design development, specification writing, budget estimates, construction documentation, the tender process, contract management, and closeout. It is necessary that we emphasize that this is a technical presentation. Facts, figures, and exact documentation is required. Please do not write unnecessary statements or make fallacious statements. Please note that, as is a technical report, you should only state exactly what happened during the project. Avoid unnecessary attachments, historical data, geographical data, things that do not relate to the actual project itself, but are just general information. The format for Project A is already in the project report. You are advised to follow it strictly. It is required that that project, your STAR project, Project A, should have a suspended floor slab. As this is most commonly structural building material in Nigeria, it is required that the architect has a minimum experience level of such a structure. Please ensure that the resolution of your images are at least 300 dpi. Project A is the key project to your submission. So make sure that all the information, especially the GPS location of that project, is accurate and precise. You lose marks for missing out on this. And the particulars of the project, from project title, client, project location, dates, and consultants, are stated, including information on contractors, key subcontractors for verification. Please note that in this day and age, it is expected that dated, precise information be given. Evidence must be provided to show that the candidate was involved in the project, especially your Project A, as also the other projects B and C. So copies of documents should be provided to show that the candidate was involved in it. In the report outline, the candidate should start with starting facts and dates of the submission, a timeline of participation in that project. Please be precise about your actual involvement. So in a report outline, you would have an introduction, inception, brief taking, concept design, consultant selection and coordination, design development, specifications, budget estimates, construction documentation and tender process, contract management, closeout, and your conclusions with your lessons learned. For Project B, it follows the same format, but would stop at tender process. It is also required that for your project B, as you have started all the design processes, you must have had a site, you must have visited the site during your design development stage or concept stage, and you have gotten to the stage of tender process. You should also have a GPS location for that project. So it's also a requirement for your project B. For project C, you are expected to have reached construction documentation stage. For each of these stages, for all the projects A, B, and C, you are scored based on the documentation you provide and how it has been presented and how it verifies your involvement in the project. So a GPS location is also required. Please also note that for all these projects, you should provide a survey plan, because you must have worked with a survey plan showing the site. And also, you should indicate necessary documents that would allow the evaluators understand your project critically. Please note that there is a format and a checklist available, and all these are checked off as your project is being evaluated. Please avoid falsifying information, and we repeat, this will constitute professional misconduct, and both the candidate and the supervisor who are suspected of falsifying information will face disciplinary action. Please also be timely in your submissions of the project report. There are required deadlines for submission, for soft copy and for hard copies to the ARCON office, respectively, both in Lagos and Abuja. Please make sure that you are within the time frame for submission. Late submissions are always left out. I encourage you to put in your best into your project report. Make sure that the facts you put in are as exactly as they are. Candidates should avoid putting in documentation that they had no knowledge of, or did not participate in, or did not evaluate. Such things are always being discovered during the evaluation of the project report, and also affect candidates during the orals. At your orals, your project report will be presented to you again, and direct questions will be asked from that project report. So the facts that you put in, you'll be confronted with them. So make sure there are things you know about, there are things you have knowledge about. I wish you all the best in the coming program. Thank you very much.
My name is Architect Francis Ewoma. I am the Managing Director, Edo State Geographic Information Service. I am also the ARCON, that's Architect Education Council of Nigeria, Education Committee Chairman. And I'm here to talk to you about orals. Orals is stage 4, paper 5 of the ARCON licensure programs for aspiring architects in Nigeria. Orals primarily deals with a face-to-face evaluation of the candidates. And it's a unique opportunity for the candidates to meet with senior colleagues in the industry and interact with them. The examiners are looking for particular items from the candidate. They'll be looking at the candidate's comportments, his appearance, his personality, courage, expression, knowledge, capabilities, and indeed grasp of architectural concepts and tenets. Now, kindly note that the examiners in the orals would have gone through your portfolio beforehand. They will have read your portfolio almost from cover to cover, gone through your projects, and will have noted some questions. So when you come for the orals, fully expect to answer questions from your portfolio. But that's not all. Also expect that questions will be asked of you in the fields of politics, both local and international politics, economics, particularly as it relates to the practice of architecture, for which you are aspiring to get a license, and even in sports, you will be asked questions. Generally, the aim is for the examiner to see if the candidate is presenting his or herself as a well-rounded individual. So it's not about reading architectural textbooks or dusting up your old school books and trying to do revision. No, it's about having a well-rounded knowledge of your environment, because the architect in the field has to be a well-rounded individual to survive. Now, my advice, as you come in for the interview, come in confident, come in very well dressed. Look at the oral interview as a business meeting with a prospective client. Would you come for that meeting looking shabby, looking down? You have to inspire confidence in your clients. In that same way, you have to inspire the same kind of confidence in your examiner. So when you come in well dressed, come in calm, come in composed, come in confident, knowing that you're not coming to meet inquisitors. You're coming to meet colleagues in the industry. And when they ask you a question, please answer directly. Do not prevaricate. Do not try to embellish the truth. As a matter of fact, I will strongly advise you stick only to the truth. Kindly remember that the examiners are senior colleagues in the industry already, and that the projects you're presenting in your portfolio, they will most likely have come across most, if not all, in one capacity or the other. You can't be sure the capacity of your examiner. However, should you find that you have a personal relationship with your examiner, it is vital to ARCON that you immediately state this so that you can be reassigned to another examiner. The danger with not stating this is that if it is found out later, that candidate will stand disqualified. Therefore, the base for a successful oral interview for the ARCON licensure exam is telling the truth. The examiners will check you for your grasp of architectural tenets and principles. They will examine your 3 projects and can pick on any topic, on any issue, be it construction management, be it design principles, be it design methodology, be it even specification writing, or even your relationship with the other members of the project team. Questions can come from any one of them. This is why it is important that you stick to the truth only. This is why it is important that you present projects only for which you have participated in fully. And in preparing your portfolio, do not forget to state the relationship between you and your supervisor, both professional and personal relationship, if any, between you and the contractors, and indeed all the other consultants on the project. Because questions can come from any of those angles. And if you found that you're trying to pass a lie or a statement that is not true, the candidate might end up finding himself before the architectural investigation panel for disciplinary action. Do not forget that even though you're not a licensed architect, ARCON views all candidates as colleagues, and they are all within the ambit of the ARCON disciplinary tribunal. It is important to know that a very important and critical part of the critical part of your journey to licensure is your credibility. Very, very important. your integrity. Anybody who is found short on integrity will not be licensed. Anybody who is short on knowledge, ARCON is ready to assist to acquire the necessary knowledge to be able to get licensed. So as you prepare for your orals, paper 5 of the licensure program, I want you to bear in mind that ARCON is only looking out to see if you have acquired enough knowledge in the industry to be given a license. So it's not about passing or failing. It's about having a sufficient body of knowledge. And that is why this seminar is so important, so you can prepare yourself adequately for your licensure program. At this juncture, let me wish every candidate a very successful participation in the licensure program. Thank you all.
Good day, colleagues. My name is Architect Umaru Usman Karai. I'm a member of the ARCON Education Committee. I'm going to talk about the oral evaluation, or we call it qualitative verbal evaluation. And basically is one of the stages, if not the last stage, of the ACFE evaluation program. It is generally a kind of face-to-face evaluation of a candidate on his or her appearance, personality, courage, confidence, experience, knowledge, capability, and capacity. So everything is comprehensive. All that a candidate has done in his portfolio and during the computer-based exam will be put together, and physically we will discuss with our candidate. And what is the importance of this oral evaluation? Basically, we want to be sure that the person that prepared that portfolio, the person that took that exam, is the same person. That is why we want to see that person, you know. And of course, also, we want to know whether he understands the portfolio he prepared, whether he really participated in that exercise. And then we want to also assess his personality to see whether he is the kind of person, in terms of appearance, in terms of comportment, in terms of his presentation, is a good material for him to be an architect. So we normally conduct this evaluation exercise having done or having taken the computer-based exam. And as I said earlier, is the last stage for the whole program. Now, usually there are guidelines that we use to conduct this exercise. One of them is that usually the panel that conduct the interview is made up of at least 2 persons, 2 interviewers. And usually these members must have read through the portfolio of that candidate to prepare themselves. Thirdly, if there is any relationship between any of the interviewers and the candidate, it is very important that this is declared so that that candidate can be moved to another panel, because we don't want to see any kind of misunderstanding by other people. The second one is that it is possible the interview is recorded so that we ensure the quality control and for the record to make sure that in case of any unnecessary event, we can easily bring out that record. Now, also, the questions that will follow will basically be from his portfolio, the technical questions. There are other questions that I will mention later, we will see. But basically, the technical questions will be based on his portfolio that he prepared. Then, of course, when a candidate is invited to come, we expect him to come and sign a register. And that register is to confirm that he is a person and he has been present at that interview, so that tomorrow he will not say he's not the one that attended that interview. So, and then also, the interviewers are guided by a document. And that document usually contains the marking scheme and then the subjects from which the interviewers can ask the candidate such questions. Now, what are these questions? In particular, the subject matters. One of them, as I said, is the personality of the person. He gets some marks for the way he is dressed, the way he comports himself, and the way he talks, how coherent he is, how confident he is, how honest he is. All these things can attract some marks for that candidate. Then, of course, we want to start asking him from that portfolio to find out whether he really understands the purpose of the portfolio itself. And what is the purpose of the portfolio? One is that by the time a candidate goes through the rigors of preparing that portfolio, he would have learned enough, he would have gotten very good ground of the project procurement process, the whole lot of the process from day one, from A to Z of project procurement process. Secondly, we want to be sure whether he understands the architect plan of work, and that is the design process in terms of understanding the different stages. Is it the pre-design stage? What constitutes the activities within the pre-design stage? The concept stage, what is he supposed to know and what has he done? And then the design development stage, and then the technical design stage, and then the tender stage, and then, of course, the building contract execution administration. All these things are a myriad of questions, but from the portfolio, the assessors that assess that portfolio before that day of the interview would have commented or would have indicated certain comments in that portfolio. So the interviewers will be guided by such comments. They will want to see what are those comments, what are the problems there. And that is what the interviewer will want to know, whether the candidate understands what he wrote and really he participated. Then if he participated, we want to know at what level, at what stage, how much at each stage he has participated in that exercise. Then, of course, the next kind of question the candidates will want to answer will be related to other architectural relationship or other kind of activities. For example, we want to know whether he understands ARCON, what is ARCON, what is the administrative structure of ARCON, what are the functions of ARCON, what are the regulations that ARCON has put in place for the benefit of architects. For example, we are talking about maybe APRN or we're talking of conditions of engagement, or we're talking of any other thing that ARCON has put up in place. So we want to know whether he understands that. Then, of course, we may ask him about the professional associations that are in Nigeria. We may ask him also about prominent architects, both in Nigeria, locally here, and maybe at the international level, or some projects that are well known, that are of architectural importance, whether here in Nigeria or abroad. These are all important things that we believe architects should be up to date with that kind of thing. Then it is also likely we may ask him about general knowledge. That could be about the economy, either national economy or international issues. It could be on politics. It could be on the environment. It could be on geography. It could be even on social issues, because we all believe that an architect is an all-rounder. He should know almost everything. It doesn't have to be very, very deep, but at least he should have an idea of what is going on both around him and around the world. Then, of course, likely we may want to know about his place of work. If it is an architectural firm, we may want to know the principal partners, the location. We may want to know some of the important projects they are handling, even if he has or is not participating, at least to have an idea. From there, we will know whether actually he is working there or not. Or if he's working with, if he's a public servant, we may want to know under whom he's working, and so on and so forth. So basically, those are the things that will culminate the verbal evaluation of a candidate. Thereafter, of course, we score him, and at the end of the day, we average the scores and know whether he passes or not. But somehow, we do observe certain issues that I think candidates should get to know. Some candidates, when they get to the panel, they get nervous, so much so that it affects their performance. They find it difficult to even talk coherently. They find it difficult, even at times, they don't even talk loud enough for one to even hear what they are talking about. Even some of them, they can't even talk. We start wondering until we calm them down. After some time, then they gather their attention, you know, their thoughts, and then we start asking them questions. And then some of them also, when they talk, they conflict with what is in the portfolio. So when we start wondering whether actually they prepared that portfolio. And some of them cannot even remember what they wrote there. So this is very important for candidates to know that they should be very conversant with what they have written. And one important thing is that there are some areas from the past evaluations we have done, almost no candidate has ever talked about his involvement in the commissioning of that architectural firm in terms of using conditions of engagement as approved by ARCON. So the moment you ask those questions, you find that they don't even know about it. So I think I'm just bringing this issue so that they get to know, or they get to ask their principals to be sure, because that could cost them some marks. So I would like to recommend that when candidates come, they should take it easy, they should be calm, they should be natural. Let them be themselves. They don't need to lie. Just say what they know. If they are asked any question and they don't know it, let them say that they don't know it. It's as simple as that. And the interviewers at times will discuss generally and they will explain to them. And then they even ask the candidates certain things which may throw more light to what they have written. So that is nothing so special. Just be yourself and just talk the way you talk. You don't have to create anything new. In conclusion, I would like to say that qualitative verbal evaluation of candidates is very important, as it ensures only the right and deserved persons are licensed to practice this coveted profession to provide solutions to our myriad problems in the built environment. At this point, I would like to wish you success in your endeavor. Thank you very much.